Good evening, everyone. Uh, Thank you for tuning into this video. It's just a short video for my friends and family to spread a message of something that I think is needed in this time, and it's not coming from the news or anything like that. So, just want to say to everyone, this is a serious situation. This COVID-19 problem is a serious problem, but this is not the time to panic because panicking, believe it or not, is more harmful than than we think it is. This is a tough time for everyone all over the world. Some parts of the world are doing better than others, but as a unified world, as one entity, it is a very rough and very difficult time for everyone. And I understand that this is very scary. We don't, but in spite of all that, what's more scary for my family and for my parents is the fact that we don't seem to have a plan on how to tackle this, on how to take this going forward, on what we can expect to happen in the next month, 2 months, 3 months, to a year. Our parliamentarians and our health officials and our news media have not made it clear to us what those next steps are, and I think that's causing a lot of anxiety and panic in the public. And we have to solve that out somehow. We have to we have to control this cycle of panic that people are stuck in, watching the news every day and getting too concerned and not understanding what's coming. So I think using that as the background, one thing we must understand is that this is not a problem that we can solve in 2 weeks to a month. For example, the best estimation of a vaccine is looks like it's going to be at least 9 months out from today, from the current time. And even if we discover a vaccine in 9 months, it will take at least a year or maybe even a year and a half before it can be manufactured and distributed globally. In this critical time, I will explain the decision that we must make as a nation using an analogy which relates to cricket made by Dr. Nishant Dimel on a panel discussion held by the Advocate Institute. It is as follows. We have to decide what kind of match we are playing. We need to decide if it's a T20 match or a test match. In a T20 game, we can sacrifice wickets for runs towards the end of the game, but in a test match, we have to consider preserving our wickets while scoring runs. I think all the global evidence suggests that we have to look at this as a test match. The, 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 the path we are taking now will only work for a very short time. I think we have to get this idea of eradicating COVID-19 from Sri Lanka, eliminating it completely, so it out of our minds. We have to focus on long-term strategies that will allow Sri Lanka to function as a nation while managing COVID-19 as it spreads and preventing its spread as much as possible while maintaining that crucial balance. We have to play the test match, and it's difficult for us to look at countries like Singapore and South Korea and use their strategies because, for example, Singapore is a very small nation state. You can get to one side in 20 minutes. You can't, some of the things they implemented are not feasible here, and we don't have the technology or the money to make those things happen. So those comparisons should be made very carefully and in context. With that being said, here are some things about COVID-19 that we must remember. Just I want to say one or two things. While it is very infectious, it is very likely that if the average person gets the illness, that they will recover. According to the WHO, who even though this virus can impact all ages, our primary goal should be protecting our elderly folks and those with conditions such as diabetes, lung illnesses, and heart diseases. If you're a relatively healthy individual and you're middle to young age, you will very, very likely get well even if you get this sickness. I think that panic should be calmed in people's hearts and minds. That there's no reason for that right now. That does not mean that we should not take it seriously. That does not mean that we should not address this problem as we encounter it. That only means we cannot work on the assumption that this is going to be terminal even if we get it. That in that light, we must practice standing distantly from others, practice social distancing, and practice good hygiene, and protect the weakest in our society. Second of all, I want to mention that we must come to understand that trying to take actions to completely eliminate the disease from the island, as if it is a foreign invader that we can completely destroy, is going to cause more harm than good. We have to think about the millions of Sri Lankans who will suffer and die as a result of not being able to work, not being able to feed their families, not being able to support themselves, not being able to get the medication for the things that they have already. A lot of the medication comes from abroad, and a lot of the things people need. People have dietary restrictions, some things that they can't eat that hurts them. And we cannot subject these people to those conditions for much longer. There are people who, I mean, I mean, most of our people, like a lot of people, not most of our people, sorry, I misspoke, but a lot of people survive on fishing, for example. And if they can't go out and fish and then come back to the market and sell their goods, life for them is not only miserable and hungry, life is also meaningless. A lot of those people derive a great sense of meaning and enthusiasm in the work that they do. So you have to think about the people who make their living and the country a better place by working day to day in front of people, working day to day, going from house to house, selling goods, doing services, making money. Those people are the ones who are hit the hardest and they're suffering the most. We have to consider the future of our country. We have to think of the children and the families that depend on daily wage earners as well as everybody else. And we must also think about the future of our economy, especially how it as it relates to our children. You have to think of ways to balance these things. You have to understand that some people will die from this illness. We have already seen that happen here. There's no preventing that. But we also have to understand that there's a future that we must save. That there's a future that we have to rip out from the grips of this illness. Our children haven't been to school for months. They need to exist. They learn. We can't keep them back, and we can't hold the very idea of a nation, our nation, back as a sacrifice to this illness. We have to have something to come back to, and we have to have something to look forward to. We have to have a world that to exist in. If we destroy everything in the name of eliminating this virus, then we might as well let the virus destroy us. I mean, actually, if that happens, then the virus would have accomplished its goal of destroying us. We have to work with the understanding that there is something we need to save, that there's something worth preserving, there's something that's worth taking forward, and that's our country and our nation, and our economy and our people and their futures. So what I want to ask of my fellow Sri Lankans is this. What I want to ask of my family who are worried and panicking, trying to make bad decisions right now. What I want to ask of all of them is this. Please don't panic. Especially don't panic and ask your government and demand your public officials for stricter and stricter rules to try and eliminate this threat outright immediately in a matter of weeks. It's never going to happen. And the more you want that to happen, the more power you have to hand over to the government, the more power you have to hand over to your people, hand over out of your hands, the less freedom you have, the less it will be likely that we'll go to anything that resembles the past or anything that resembles the things we love to do. So that being said, it's unrealistic and it will do more harm than good. So in this time, I want to say, please follow the advice given by our health officials, our educated members of society who have worked tirelessly for years and years, and even now are working tirelessly day and night to protect us and save us from this problem. Listen to their advice. Listen to people who are smarter than you are. Listen to people smarter than the auntie next door who will come and tell you, I heard this on the news. Don't listen to that, and don't spread news without verifying it. Don't spread news without using your own mind and using the internet, this powerful tool that you have at your hands. Use Google Translate, find the information that you need to find. Look for good sources. Spreading misinformation, spreading panic is worse than whatever this virus can do for us, because the reaction we'll have to that is much worse. So I want to say, let's do that, keeping our future in mind, keeping our keeping what we value in mind, and together we can work through this calmly and peacefully. This is a test match, not a T20. Thank you.